So just rolled into town, going out with the Super Elliot bunch today. It's a fast group ride in Adelaide, so should be fun to push it hard. So we're joining the action, coming up to the first hairpin now of Norton Summit. The pace is already pretty high. My heart rate's up at 188, 189, and that's normally my heart rate for sort of 15-minute climb. You can see the watts is increasing now coming around that hairpin. The guy in the front is starting to push the pace a bit. Anton's behind him, the second wheel, and this is for a climb now. The guy is still on the front. He put on a huge turn for about 5-6 minutes up the climb, and this is on the rear view camera then going up. Cleo's behind me and the rest of the bunch is there. It's all single file really at the moment, so that means the pace is pretty high. Otherwise when the pace is slow it sort of gets bunched up, everyone's sort of riding 2x2, but now you can see the riders are swerving all over the place a bit, and the gaps are starting to open up, and just the riders are generally sort of all over the road, rocking from side to side. So yeah, just focus on keeping the breathing up and keeping the cadence high. You can see my cadence most of the time around 90 to 100, sometimes a bit higher, sometimes a bit lower, but I think my average for my PB up this climb was about 101, I think, for the whole segment. So this just helps stress mainly your aerobic system rather than building too much fatigue in your legs. So here Cleo's just peeled off. He's had enough up Norton Summit today. The rider behind him struggling to close the gap, and you see this rider behind them both in my wheel now just jumped straight across the gap, saw it opening up. This guy's a very strong rider, really fast up Norton Summit, and he's doing pretty well in the local races at the moment. But yeah, you can see his mouth's open. He's just rocking from side to side a bit, but he looks pretty relaxed overall. And the bunch is still pretty strung out. The watts have decreased a bit. We're about 2k to go now to the finish. This rider on the right finally decides that he's pulled enough of a turn, and Anton goes in the front for a bit. But yeah, kudos to him. That was a long time in the front because it's a fast climb. Draft matters quite a lot up here, so it pays to have someone in front of you. This is on the final straight now, just after the last U-turn. A couple of riders came around on the inside. Yeah, that's getting a bit frisky. Everyone's sort of tussling a bit now, trying to stay near the front for the last bit. And you can see now the pack is a lot closer together. We've spat out quite a few riders, but everyone's sort of riding 2x2 now. Even though the wattage is still high, everyone knows it's only 2 minutes more effort to the top, so you kind of put that pain aside. And yeah, this rider behind me now, the one that was at the front in the white, is still looking so relaxed. Yeah, he's just swapping his hand grip on the bars and doesn't look to be too much pain. And yeah, it's important to sometimes get out the saddle when you're going up the climb. I normally climb about 90% of the time seated and 10% of the time out the saddle. Depends a bit on how fast I'm going. If I'm going really hard, I find it hard to get out the saddle much, but definitely helps a bit to relieve the stress on your bum and your legs a bit, work some different muscles, and just release them for just 5-10 seconds and then sit back down and get back into the rhythm. And you can see it's really starting to bunch up behind now. There's about 500 meters to go. This bit increases the speed quite a bit. We take a little left-hand turn, and as you can see the gradient, it's down to sort of 1-2%. So the speed increases quite a bit down here, and then it kicks up a bit for this final right-hand corner, and there's about 200 meter stretch to the line. So Rylands can pass me now on the middle of the road, and I got a bit too excited here and decided to come around him straight away again, which was very silly because I was already pushing 700 watts in his wheel, and there's quite a bit left. If you're sprinting, that's a bit too far to go, especially when you're coming around such a strong rider. So yeah, he left me for dust there, and this is the top now, and we gap the rest of them by quite a bit. So we normally regroup then at the top. You can see it's a bit murky over there in the hills. That's where we're riding to. Wasn't too bad though. We only had a couple of spots of rain, so we just carry on now with the rest of the ride and head off to Lobethal. So we've just reached Gorge Road now, where we start the roller coaster road down, and we're just starting on the Hills of Truth now. There's no place to hide on these. If you're feeling tired after the earlier bit of the ride, you're going to struggle on these ones to hold on, because generally the pace gets pretty high up these, and you get a couple of attacks coming off the front of the group. So here we're just cresting over one of them now, and as you can see we're pushing 600-700 watts and flying past those guys in the fluoro kit. So yeah, when you're riding in a group like this, it looks a bit all over the place, and it is a bit sketchy from time to time, especially when you're a bit tired going over the top of the hills and then suddenly firing down a descent. You just got to be aware of all the riders in front of you and around you, and make sure everyone else knows what wheel you're following and where you're going to go. So communication is the key really when you're in a group going hard and fast down a hill as well. It's always important to be looking out for stuff on the road, keep your head up and look where you're going, because it can be quite easy sometimes to lose focus when you're really driving on the limit. Your head goes down a bit and you're just looking at the wheel in front instead of looking up at the road ahead and at the rider in front's hands. So yeah, we're just cresting another little hill here, but now we're on our way down now, fast, and the speed's increasing a lot. The first two hills are the biggest down here, and if you don't get popped on one of the first hills, normally you can last out to the bottom of the hill now. Yeah, so the giant rider comes past me, and I was in a mood of chasing everyone and anything on that ride. I was trying to get a good workout in. Wasn't really too worried about sprinting at the bottom of the hill because it gets a bit sketchy going downhill at 75k an hour, 80k an hour even, and a couple of the riders like to sprint at the bottom for the bridge. So after the hills further back there, I generally just sit on the back of the pack and freewheel most of the way down then, behind on the super fast descent, because I don't really want to risk crashing and put myself in unnecessary danger. So it's better just to be safe and race on the uphills and just take it easy on the downhills. But in general, this is pretty safe descent. You don't even have to touch the brakes going down it. Yeah, it's really nice descent, and this is the final super fast bit now. So a couple of the other guys are starting to race for the bottom of the hill, and yeah, I just, like I said, sit back and let them go ahead. And what do you guys think of that guy's sock choice? They're pretty much up to his knees. I think that's a bit too long for my liking, but each to their own. And this is coming up to the end of the footage. The riders ahead are sprinting for the bridge down below on the corner. Yeah, let me know what you think down below. The Strava should be in the description, and I should have another video up tomorrow as well.